What up, everybody? It's your girl, Danity Kane, and I'm rocking with my favorite site, BuyHollywood.com.
What's going on, Team Hollywood? This is your boy, the king of all media, and I have a special guest, one of the best singers out right now, Miss Dawn Rashad. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and thank you for that weird title. That's amazing. Thank you very much for that awesome compliment. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I do have to compliment you over these past few years of all of your work that you've been doing in the group of Danity Kane and solo. You have truly been a warrior. I commend you on all of your success and how much you have the empowerment that you have given your fans and new fans over the years. I really commend you on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now let's get into your current album that's out now, that's in stores now, Golden Heart. How did you first go about creating that album, and where did you come up with that title?
Well, first of all, I was influenced by a lot of paintings. One of my favorite painters was Last Prince, who used golden place in his paintings, and he just made them seem so regal and so timeless. And I felt like I love the way he depicted the women he painted. They were almost they were life-size. They were beautiful, but there was an air to them, and I thought that I could, use that influence in the things that I did in my music and the way we presented it. So when you see the cover and the armor, everything is this golden plate. Everything is so much more, so larger and so much more beautiful. And when you think about, Joan of Arc was another inspiration for me, and how she had a message, and she, by any means, she had to get it out there. It didn't matter how she got it out. She had to get her message. She had a voice, and she would go beyond and above to get that message across. And I think that's what Golden Heart embodies. You have this sense of a warrior, this sense of a naive warrior who goes in and really fights for a message that few will probably listen to it because it is something, it's positive and it's beautiful. It didn't matter. We needed to get it out there, and few will become many because the more people heard it, the more people will respond to it. And that's really the essence of what Golden Heart is about. And so that's why the name came about, and that's why the look of it, the fashion, everything was this sort of armored warrior in modern day time.
Okay. Now, speaking on the fashion, because your fashion is I can't even explain it. I love your fashion. I love the way you tie your fashion in with your music. Like, how do you do that? Is that something that's just very, like, second nature to you? Or is it, like, truly a process, like a true art form for you?
I think it's organic. I think you can't have music without fashion and vice versa. And I think if you want to make something cohesive and tell a body, deliver a body of work that people can understand, it has to be carried out to the very detail. And I think with music and fashion, especially with this project and this trilogy, that has been very important to me. Fashion has always been something that I love. And I felt like the artists that I used to love and I used to remember, they both went hand in hand. It was never one that was, the music is great, but we don't know what the storyline is, and it doesn't continue on in the fashion. So for me, it's a little bit of both. It's something that's organic, but I also work very hard at trying to make sure that when I deliver a video or an idea or a fashion, of my fashion in the live show, they all make sense. They all are a story that's told that people never get lost in the story. It's always something that they can be like, I totally get that. Even though it's a little bit far out there, or I'm pushing you visually, or I'm pushing you mentally, I still never lose you because they all make sense together.
Right, okay. Now, I know a lot of your fans who you love to call your hearts, they've been riding with you from day one. They've supported. They're very, very loyal. They have promoted in the biggest ways amongst social media, your Golden Heart album. And a lot of them, wrote to us about your next album, which is Black Heart. Now, what can they expect from Black Heart?
I think Black Heart will be the darkest sound that I've had throughout the trilogy, but it's the most real. It's very blunt, and the music is, as you can listen to the singles like Judas and Valkyrie and Meteors, it's not going to be in your comfort zone. And I think what I wanted to do is, if Golden Heart had a distinct sound, I wanted each album to have a very distinct sound. So you'll never hear an album that'll sound like the other album. And I think that might cause people to love one album more than others, or people to like one thing more than the other. But I think that's the great thing about art, and I wanted it to be like that. So people who maybe love Golden Heart may or may not love Black Heart, But people who are maybe fans of a more darker place or a more eerier place or a heavier 808 or more into dancing or more into this, they'll love this project more than they'll love that one. And I think that's what you're supposed to do when you plan a trilogy or when you read a series or a novel. Some people will love one novel more than the other. So that's kind of what I'm doing with Blackheart. Blackheart has a more heavier, definitely more up-tempo. It's honestly less metaphorical, less naive. Golden Heart was the naive warrior, the person that was like, oh, everything's going to be great, I'm going to go into this fight and I'm going to win. Blackheart is the reality that you lost a lot of battles, you got a little blood on your hands, and you have to face the terms of whether or not you're going to get back up or you're going to stay in your rut. And so that's what Blackheart sounds like. It sounds like a choice that you make in your life, that moment where you decide, am I going to stay where I am in the bottom or crawl my way back out of it?
Wow, I really love your explanation of that. I like how you took the title and you actually gave it a story behind it, and I think that's another thing that
the entire trilogy has a story, and that's
right.
the cool thing. And that's what I was telling my hearts. Like I kind of, some of them when they heard Valkyrie and they heard Judith doing, she's losing me this era. I don't really like this sound. I don't really know, and I kind of love that. The reason why is because I want people to have favorites. I want people to be like, hey, I love to go to Hollywood. And some people are like, yo, this is incredible. She's stepping it up. This is a whole different sound. I'm falling in love with her because of this sound. And that's kind of what I want for each era, is to kind of push people to kind of pick their ideas and pick their feelings and go with that. And that's what I want this time around.
Okay. Now, speaking of the different sounds, one of your fans wrote in and basically said that, the sound for Black Era is different. Are you afraid that many people won't understand what you're trying to give off in your music? No, what I was saying, the sound of Blackheart is different, and one of your fans just wanted to know if you're afraid that some people may not exactly understand it because the sound of your music is a lot different than what we hear in from other artists and stuff. So are you afraid that people won't understand it?
I just spoke on that, and I think that's exactly, I hear them loud and clear, but I think
right.
Would you also within you want an album that sounds exactly the same as the previous album that I just put out? I think it's one of those things where you gotta keep progressing, and I love that they feel that way. I'm not scared though. I'm not scared because people who appreciate art, one minute, if you look at artists all around the world, if you look at a painter, if you look at a ballerina, if you look at a DJ, if you look at anybody who's in the arts, there are favorites that people pick from. There are periods in time where you love something, or there's something where you look, an artist does one thing, and then they go and they create another piece of body of work, from authors to designers to, it goes on and on. When you look at a designer like Karl Lagerfeld, one minute he'll do his tweed, and then the next minute he'll take a risk, and when he was doing painting material, maybe in 2012 or 2011, he did a collection that was more rugged or more boy. Maybe people weren't fans of that when they were fans of this one. It's one of those things where I have to grow, and I want to push people, and sometimes they'll love that push, and sometimes they'll hate it. But that's what art is.
Right.
And it's one of those things. I love that. I love it. I want to make them feel uncomfortable, and I want to make them love Golden Heart more or love Blackheart more. So yeah, I think I definitely will split the fan base. I think they will either like or hate this one.
Right.
But that's okay. If I lose them, then I'll lose them for that moment, and then we'll gain them again. If I never gain them back, then they loved one part of the era. They loved the Golden Heart era, and that's what this part is.
Right.
And so I'm not scared of that. I actually persuade that, and I actually want that. I actually want to rise those kind of feelings in them, because if you stay in one lane, you just get those same people who love your project for that one thing, and you'll do that thing consistently, and they'll just be the same people you're getting. You'll never grow in your fan base, and you'll never grow to teach people more and show them more. And I've never been that kind of person.
Right. Well, I must say I'm looking forward to this new era because from what I've heard so far, I love the sound of it. Just like the first album, I love the sound. It's very different, and all I can say is I'm ready for it. Yeah,
but you also know me. Like, what I give you may not always be the gist of it. So I think people are getting the most of me. Even when I release things, I give you the most of what it is, and I push you as far as I can. And then you get the album, and you're like, oh my God, this is what I wasn't expecting. So I think it's one of those things where people think they know what I'm going to deliver to them, and they may feel a certain way. But then when I get the album, I think they feel very differently. Right.
Now let's talk the big news of this past weekend, the reunion of Danity Kane.
Yeah.
How?
I'm excited.
like I'm speechless. I'm is ecstatic that this happened because I know when it first happened, the world was shocked, and like many others, we felt as though that all we would have were the memories. How did this reunion happen?
Because, feeling like there was something to take care of. And I think it's exciting. I think it was just out of reach out to say hello. And I think we're grown now. We're women. And I think nobody wants to hold the grudge that long. So it's just exciting to see us step up to the plate. And really, honestly, with you guys, most of all, you guys with the response of what you felt when we just went to go eat some lunch.
Right.
I think it showed us that, people are still miss us after 6 years. That's a big thing. And I think it's something that cannot be ignored. And I'm excited that people are just excited about it. It makes me happy, and I'm proud of us for stepping up as women, because we don't see women as positive and in a positive light. We don't see this camaraderie in women. A lot of times you see people break up and then they don't never come back together, and all you see women hate each other, and it's always hate and negativity. And I think this is a prime example of how women can do something positive, especially after so long, come together and still be beautiful to each other. And I think that's something rare in the industry and rare in life when it comes to women.
Yeah, I can tell that you guys have a lot of love for each other. Like you girls are like sisters.
Love, respect, it's more than that. It's a family, and I think you need to see that. You just need to see that.
Right. Now, what details can you give us about you guys' comeback single Rage?
Say again, sorry. I'm sorry.
I said, what details can you give us about you guys' single Rage?
That it's coming soon. That's all I'm gonna give you. But I think you'll be excited with this. I think you'll be happy. I think people will be very, very excited about this people. And I don't know if that's gonna be the actual one yet. It's the one with love. This is the one we love the most right now.
Now, will the reunion of Danity Kane have any would it put your Black Heart album, your project, on hold, or is it that still on schedule?
I think I'm gonna put my project not on hold, but I think I'm gonna deliver DK first. And the reason why is because I think the way things are moving, we didn't expect them to move as fast and beautiful as they are. And I want to make sure that I deliver my project to the best of its ability.
Mm-hmm.
It is done. Black Heart is done, but I think I want to be smart the way I do my business, and I've given amazing projects, a lot of them. I think people forget that I have given them a year, at least three to four projects. And I want to make sure that when I deliver things, they grow and people can see how beautiful they are. So I'm choosing to make Danity Kane the first thing to deliver, and then deliver Black Heart at a later date, just because I think it's smart. And I know that the fans won't love that, I know the hearts won't love that, but I think it's look at the bigger picture, and if the hearts know me, I've never made a move that wasn't smart. I've never made a move that's not smart. Let me take that back, because I don't want you to forget. I've never made a move that wasn't strategized.
Okay.
It's my business. And I think that's a smart decision for me right now. And people may not agree with that, but I think in the end they'll understand it, they'll love it. I won't make a decision that I won't please the hearts first with, and I think they'll be happy with this. I really do.
Right.
And I'm proud of this decision. So I'm going to push it. I'm going to push the date back, but I haven't got the date that I want yet, because I think the Danity Kane project should come before it.
Right.
And the reason why is because this project is moving more quickly than I thought it would. And that's just happening. The VMAs changed everything.
Right. That was one of, I knew before you guys made the big announcement. I tweeted that was going to be one of the most talked about topics of that night, and it was all over Twitter all night. So it was a
big deal. It was a big deal, and I'm excited that it was. And I'm proud of us. And I think this is a big move, and it's a big move for everybody. And if everyone is giving up lives to do this, you have to respect that. And that's one of the other reasons why I decided to put Black Heart a little bit further back. If the girls give me the opportunity, they give me their voice, and they say, I'm going to, sacrifice a lot to do this with you, I have to sacrifice. And I think that's what sisters do. And so that was a lot of the decision of me pushing things back, because people are putting a lot of my mind
Right. Okay. Now, I followed your career ever since the beginning, when the world first got those first glimpses of you. How can you say over what have you learned about this industry and being able to blossom into the artist that you are in this present day?
Well, what I can say is that I've learned that the world will never be happy for what you do. They will what you do. They never will be happy at what you do. So you have to make yourself happy and let the world follow you. And that's what I had to learn, you know. No one's ever going to be satisfied with you. But if you're satisfied, the rest will come. And so that's what I choose to do with everything, even my music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit it all day and question, will they understand this passion? Will they like me? Will they love me? I mean, people will hate me or love me every day. And it'll change. People are fickle. But if I love me and I love the product and I'm better to put the best foot forward, people will follow you in time. Or if they don't, then you are happy with it.
Right.
And that's the most important thing.
So has there ever been a time where you felt as though that I know the pressures of the industry can sort of kind of can at points become stressful? Have you ever felt as though you should change who you are naturally as a person?
No, I don't think anything out here has made me change. I just grow. And I think when people say stuff like, "Oh, you changed," or "Oh," everybody goes because they don't change, they grow.
Right.
And that's real. And I think it's funny that people get upset with you when you choose when things mature, when you do things differently, or you grow, or you evolve. Everybody evolves, regardless of what you may feel like, or you may feel like, "Oh, I stayed the same." Nobody stays the same. You grow every 5 years. You decide something else. You love something 1 year, and then you're in a relationship, and you go at high school. You love your high school sweetheart. You went to college, and you want something different. That ain't you changing. That's you growing and wanting something different out of your life.
Exactly.
You know, and I mean, it could be the same thing. It's doing the same thing. Maybe go this change. I don't know, but everybody goes through it, and I think it's fair to come to terms with that. People will see that there's nothing wrong with evolving.
Exactly. Now, speaking of evolving, we know that you'll be starring in a new play called K. Hebron's Gospel.
No, it's not a play. It's moving.
I'm sorry. The Gospel Soul Rock and Roll. Now, is there anything you could tell us about that? I know you're excited about it because that's a new thing for you.
I kept it secret for a long time, and we just found out that it'll be releasing in 2014. So that's exciting. There's some really great people in it. I can't expose that yet, but there'll be a big launch, and everybody will find out more details soon. But it's a K-Hebron production, and I was very picky about doing whatever my first film would be. I was very picky about acting and making sure that the role was the right role. And this role is something that people would expect me to play. I like to still involve music and I can sing, and that's something great as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of this role, and I think people will be excited about it as well, especially with the casting. So get excited for 2014. It's a big year for me, and I've been very careful. Once again, with everybody, I think people know this much about me. I don't ever do anything that I haven't thought out. And so 2014 is going to be great. It's not just the acting thing. I'm launching a clothing line with Cole and Terry. And they're really a cool vintage hipster line that I really been paying attention to for a while now. And it's called Lion Ambition. And I'll be launching that as well. That will carry on 2014. So there's a lot of things that I've been carefully kind of putting in place for a long time so that if I did have to push my album back, people would still be proud of me. It's not hard to be proud of me because I'm doing other things to keep in their hands, to keep them excited, to keep them happy. And so regardless of, me, if I can't really, the first time when I pushed Golden Run back, I was so sad, so I gave more good music. It's one of those things where if I do something, I always make sure if I push something back or if I do take a decision that may not be with the heart's one, I always come back with something to say, okay, but in return, here's this. So I've always been that way with my fan base, so I hope they see that and love that. And even with the Danity Kane thing, it's one of those things where if I do something and I make a move, I always come back and give more so that they're always satisfied. And I think I think that's something that is with my movement. I always try to give them something that they're never feeling empty because they deserve it.
Right. Now, that's one thing I do love about you. Besides your music, is how you keep your fans involved. So it's like they always feel that they are part of your, your recording process.
They are. They're part of this process. And anything that I do, if I make them hurt them or, everything is a business decision. And sometimes, the fan bases don't know that. When the album gets pushed back, they don't know the reason why. They just get upset because they feel like it's going to keep their fave or their person that they love out of the loop. In this situation, I like to keep them in the loop. I like to let them know this is going to be done this way, that it's because this was a business decision and this is that, but in return, here is this, so that you are excited and happy. I like to keep them informed so that they're happy and always be. I had a tweet from one of the fans, and they were like, why would this do the Danity Kane thing when you've evolved as a solo artist? It's going to bring you down and back. And one thing, I saw the Hearts talking amongst themselves, and they were telling him, she always does things that will make us happy, just to be just in a bigger platform, and I always want to let them know that.
Mm-hmm.
I love them, and I would do something that wasn't beneficial for our entire movement. I think DK is a beautiful and a story in my life that needs to be finished. But in return, here are these amazing things, an acting role, here's the Terry and fashion line, here's the things that we can stay relevant with as a heart, as a team. And then we can get excited to know that I'm doing this out of love, and I'm keeping my sisters in my life, and this is a beautiful thing. It's all positive. So I think maybe 3 or 4 people will be upset, but I think for the most part, I think people will see that this is a beautiful movement that's happening, and we're growing as a movement. We're growing. Right.
Now, on the topic of Danity Kane, what is your favorite Danity Kane if you had to pick one good song?
Oh, Sucker for Love, no question.
Oh, my favorite.
No question, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I love that the harmonies and just the whole vibe of that record is just absolutely.
It was ahead of its time. That was with the dance record when dance music wasn't popping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Damage and Sucker for Love, those were records that were EDM and was ahead of its time and came out when dance music wasn't really popping. So I think that was so cool that hey.
Right. Now I've seen tons of your videos and just from Danity Kane to your solo, and the thing that I love the most about you is the fact that you dance, you tie your fashion with your music and the dance, and it's so cohesive. Is there any other artist that inspires you to be able to be who you are as an artist when it comes to putting your package together?
I don't really look at artists. That's the thing. I don't like artists. I look at Marishnikov. Marishnikov is one of the dancers that it's more like that. It isn't Bjork is about the closest just because I love how she incorporates her music and her fashion into her storyline. But as far as dance goes and what that fashion is, Marishnikov was my influence. He just was ahead of his time, and he was incredible, and he was such he was art in motion, and I always wanted to be that kind of dancer where if you freeze framed or if you took a picture, it literally looked like someone painted you, and it told an entire story just by that one line, by that one movement, by that one moment. And
right.
That's kind of artist I always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, fan question is, it says, the hearts know Dawn loves her heels. Who's your favorite up-and-coming shoe designer or brand?
That's a good question. Up-and-coming? I've been working a lot. I've been liking what this Mia shoe line has been doing, but honestly, I'm still looking to see who's really breaking the barrier with heels, because I feel like Brian Atwood is one of the most underrated. But he's been relevant for so long and he's so big, but I think when people think of shoes, they think of Versace and McQueen, and they're incredible.
Right.
And I think Brian Atwood has been sneaking under the headlines so long. People wear him and he's huge. But people like Nicholas Kirkwood and Brian Atwood, to me, make a shoe that's so structured and so incredible. But they're not as big as people would think they are. They're huge, but I'm saying people don't wear them as much as I would love them to. And I think they're one of those lines that have been around for a long time, but it's been incredible. As far as new and up and coming, I like what Mia chooses to bring to the table. And the reason why I say Mia choosing is because they're a smaller brand, and they're for people who can afford them, and they're a real time. It's affordable, but they still make a quality shoe, and I think that's dope. And I've been really liking what they've been doing, especially with this new shoe, the Rocco shoe. I just wore it yesterday, and I really love the way it feels and how it looks.
Yeah, I've seen that on Instagram.
Yeah, I kind of like what they're doing. I I'll see how far they can evolve. But as far as the main brand and the higher end that I feel like has been under big pressure is purple expression.
Right, yeah. That's I do love the fact that, your shoes are very different than what, you see a lot of people wearing, and that's the amazing thing about you, because it all ties in. I feel as though, like, who you are as an artist, you have a different sound, a different look, your fashion. So I think it's the total package. That's why I feel as though that's why you're such a success and your fans relate to you in the big way that they do.
I appreciate that. I mean, I never tried. It's one of those things I've always loved. I've always loved that. And I never got a chance to really show it until I got older, and I'm happy they see it because it's who I am. I'm not really trying anything. I just do what I do, and hopefully people get it. And if they get it, I'm happy. And if they don't, it doesn't really change who I am, It's one of those things where you just get it or you don't. I'm really grateful that I have a fan base that gets me.
Very true, very true. Now, there are so many, every day there's always, new and up and coming artists that are always, popping up left and right. What advice would you give to even any of your fans that want to become a up and coming artist to one day blow up into a big success? What would your advice be?
Don't go in this to be famous, go into this to be legendary. If you do that, everything will fall into place.
That's
simple as I could put it.
That's amazing advice. Now, like I said, I wasn't going to take up too much of your time, but I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you've been doing so much. So I want to just thank you once again for all of your hard work, musically, professionally, everything.
No, I want to thank you guys for supporting since day one, even when nobody else was. When I was at my worst and at my lowest, you guys always posted. You always been there. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.